Trey Snide here for Next Door Radio at nextdoorradio.com. We have a special guest live here this morning by way of our Zoom recording as well, LaSaundra Booth. She is with Wake Forest Community Youth Orchestra. Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Trey. Glad to be here. Doing awesome.
Now, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us here this morning. Before we kind of dive deep in everything that you have going on with the youth orchestra and with the kids and things like that, let's really introduce you, and only you could to really do. So let's introduce you, and then we'll dive deep into the rest of it. Okay?
Okay. Well, my name is LaSaundra Booth. I started playing cello when I was in the 10th grade. Real quick, funny story. I wanted to play the violin. There was a new orchestra program starting at my elementary school, Wiley Elementary in Greensboro, North Carolina. And I knew on the first day of class, I knew I wanted to play the violin because that's all I had ever seen. And I go to class. For some reason, I'm late. I don't know why. And I get to class and the teacher says, LaSaundra, what do you want to play? And I say, I want to play the violin. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, LaSaundra, all the violins are taken. But I have this beautiful cello right here for you. And I saw, I looked at the cello and saw how big it was. And then I looked at my teacher and I said, how am I supposed to fit that up under my chin? Right? And she said, no, Sandra, you get to sit down with it like this. And I saw that when I got to sit down, but all my other friends playing violin and viola had to stand up during class. I said, I'll keep cello. And I have been playing ever since. And really, when you ask about me, I'm that kid that grew up in poverty. I'm that kid that grew up in public housing, single parent, didn't know my father. And I used an instrument in school every single year, even through college. And so when I got the opportunity to see how many kids didn't have access to orchestra programs in Wake County, in Franklin County, in Granville County, I said something has to be done. So I took $2,000 out of my own personal savings account, bought instruments because I believed if I get the instruments, then I'll get the bodies. And in 2014, we did a soft launch, started the Wake Forest Community Youth Orchestra, got our 501c3. In 2015, we've gone from 3 kids to over 350 in 3 counties. And that was post-COVID numbers. And that's where we are today. We're bringing back, orchestras really in the rural communities, because if playing in orchestra changed my life, then I know it can change somebody else's.
No, I love that. I love your passion. I love your joy. Just radiate off. I get to see you actually in video here by way of our Zoom. Again, LaSaundra Booth with the Wake Forest Community Youth Orchestra joins me here on our local talk program on Next Door Radio. So let's kind of dive deep into Wake Forest Community Youth Orchestra. You said you took out some money out of your own personal pocket.
Yes.
Back in 2014, 350 kids before the COVID. So how was my listeners know I do not like talking about the COVID-19 and the pandemic. We've seen enough of with businesses closing and stuff like that.
Yes.
But let's get that out of the way. How was it for the youth orchestra during the 2020 year, all by way of virtual, probably Zoom, probably FaceTime and stuff like that? How was it for you guys?
We really, it hit us very hard. We had to really shift and pivot within a week. Most of what we do, we have a community-based program, but we also go into local schools, especially in Franklin County and Henderson. We actually went into the local school system to provide lessons for kids. Well, when the schools closed, so did our business, because our instruments were in the schools and we couldn't get to them.
Wow.
So about 75% of our inventory was locked, in these public schools. And because we were not employees of the school system, they would not let us come on campus to get our instruments. So we were only operating with about 25% of our inventory. And we essentially had to do that shift from, in-person instruction to virtual. Many of the kids, many of the families were just Zoomed out, because teachers were trying to navigate the online platform, and for most of our kids, it did a detriment to their learning. So to have a bad experience with the school system and then to ask parents to do another 30, 45 minutes trying to play the violin or learn orchestra on Zoom, It really hurt us. But we were resilient, and those children that stayed with us, we gave them the best instruction possible. I'm glad to say in April of 21, we were able to resume in-person classes. And so now we are back in person. But, looking at the numbers, our organization about a 48% hit in funding because we weren't able to do any of our concerts. So we really, but the music didn't stop. We believe no matter what. I took a pay cut. Some of our other teachers took a pay cut because we knew that the music can't stop. Every child that wanted to continue, we made a way to make that possible.
So how do you, in LaSaundra Booth here with Wake Forest Community Youth Orchestra here in our local talk program. You talk about the money, it took a big hit. How do you guys, I know you guys are a nonprofit. How do you kind of get money in? Is it just donations or is it businesses? How does that work for you guys?
Yes, sir. About 50% of our funding comes from local individual donors, I would
Okay.
say. With us being in a rural community, we are not eligible. A lot of people think because you're Wake County, you have access to all of these
Yeah.
funding opportunities. But for us, it's not so because we are not in the city of Raleigh. So we do not have access to city of Raleigh funding. So a lot of the grants that we get, yes, a lot of the
Wow.
grants that we get, um, you know, we are eligible for so many different grants, but because we are not in the city of Raleigh, a lot of times we're overlooked, even though we're doing great work, even though, we were one of the first organizations to focus on equity, diversity, and inclusion initiatives from the very get-go. A lot of times we get overlooked. So we are very grateful to the generous individual donations that we received and for all the businesses that support us. And then we received a $15,000 grant post-COVID from the North Carolina Arts Council to bring the first string program to Franklin County and to Vance County
Wow.
schools. But once COVID hit, that funding went out the door. So when you talk about knowing how to, work on a lean budget, we really, really operate on a very lean budget.
Wow, no, that's remarkable. And again, money drives a lot of things, and when it stops coming in, just like local restaurants, local businesses, 2020 was hard. So I'm so glad to see that you guys are starting to kind of get back up. You're going into in-person session, which is fantastic. So I want to go there. Talk about your process with these kids, and I know they're excited when they come because, again, I could tell just by way of our video here this morning, you love what you do. So talk about the classes itself and how that process worked for you guys.
Yes, sir. We have 3 levels of orchestra that are offered. So our beginning class is for people who have never ever touched an instrument before. On the first day, they're playing. On the first day, they are playing with bows. They're holding the instrument correctly. And look, we don't just stop there. We invite the adults to take lessons with their children as well. Yes, we provide instruments for all students in need because breaking down those barriers are very important to us. So you don't have an instrument, don't worry about it. We got you. You can't afford tuition, don't worry about it. We got you. So that's for the beginners. They are typically playing first day, and within the first, this session will be 6 weeks. In 6 weeks, they're going to learn multiple songs, diverse genres, even a little. What is it? The we
Okay.
we teach them how to play.
You
We will
can't
rock
take
you.
that back. I got you on video. We're good.
That's fine. And then our continuing orchestra students, they've been playing for about a year. Um, we really, really, really focus on, correct posture, how to use vibrato, how to shift in second and third position. And then we have an advanced orchestra. And the great thing about our organization is that we are self-sustaining. So our advanced orchestra students, they serve as peer coaches. So their class doesn't start till 6. So they'll come in at 5 o'clock and they will sit beside a beginning orchestra student to
That's
help them
awesome.
with the posture, or either they'll coach somebody in the continuing orchestra and sit beside them, or even give them private lessons. So that's just a way that the older students are giving back as well. And then when they graduate, they come back and they help us. We have one graduate who's now a teacher with us. So it's just a wonderful place for community.
So, LaSaundra Booth here she is with Wake Forest Community Youth Orchestra, and their sessions are being held at Roseville Baptist Church. Is that still correct? That's still correct.
Yes,
Perfect.
sir. Roseville Baptist Church.
And that's at 203 East Young Street in Roseville, North Carolina. It's 27571. So talk about some success stories. I love stories. I love history about anything like this. Talk about the success stories. Again, you mentioned that one of your graduates came back and she's now a teacher. Talk about those stories and what it means to the student itself and the youth for Franklin, Vance, Granville. How does that work out for you?
Oh my goodness, I have so many success stories, but I'll tell you about one young man who came to us as a beginner, had no experience, started out on the bass, but then after about a few months, he said, the cello is calling to me. I want to learn how to play the cello. And I said, okay, fine. So he started playing the cello, and then he broke an instrument. And
Sounds like me.
I said, oh my goodness. And his mama was, like, oh my gosh, he broke this instrument. He's going to have to pay. I said, no. I said, you know what? This may be an opportunity. This may be his calling. I'm not going to make you pay for this cello, because he, broke it. It was an accident. And do you not know that this young man is now he's in the National Youth Orchestra of the whole United States.
Wow.
This young man learned in like 1 year. He is playing at such a high level that he went to London to perform. He's just doing so many great things. So like I said, you never know who the next big star is going to be. We just only had to give him the opportunity. And had I handled that situation in a different way, it could have just ruined his, wanting to play in orchestra. But I didn't. And that's just a testament of all the things that, he's done, traveling internationally and playing now at such a high level. It's amazing. Other students, we provide a college scholarship for all of our graduating seniors. We have a 100% graduation rate where all of our high school seniors go on to a 4-year college. And I got a thank you letter from one of our graduating seniors. And she said, I want to go to medical school. And now this scholarship has, alleviated like my concern about debt. So now I can pay for some books and not have to worry about debt when I go to college. Thank you for investing in me.
Wow.
And so it's those things like that say, oh my gosh, we have a student who has autism. He made his first friend in our orchestra. And so whereas he's not, as social in school, but in our orchestra, it's his safe place.
Okay.
And, he found, a friend, and now they are the best of friends. So, this orchestra is more than just learning notes on a page. It's about community, and it's about promoting our young people to reach their fullest potential in every area of their lives. So it's a life's work for me. It's a passion for me, and I'm so grateful to be involved in our community.
Oh, I love it. Again, LaSaundra Booth here with Wake Forest Community Youth Orchestra here in our local talk program and Next Door Radio. How can our listeners get some more information? I found you on Facebook, so that's how we got involved. But how can our listeners get some more information about what you do?
Your listeners can go to our website, www.wfcyo.org. That's WF as in Frank, C as in Charlie, YO.org, where they can learn all about our organization and how they can be more involved. And if they want to donate, they can donate too.
There you go. I was just about to say, how can businesses be involved with that? And they can go, I know I'm looking at your website now, they have a donate tab at the top of the page. So there you go. Again, nonprofit, the Wake Forest Community Youth Orchestra. I love your passion. I've told you this multiple times during this show. I said, I love your passion. I love your joy, and it radiates what you guys do. So thank you for what you do for our youth, not only for Wake County. Now, do you guys, last question here, you not only cover Franklin, Vance, Granville, can any youth be involved with this, or is just in these counties?
Now, any youth can be involved with
Okay.
us. Our mission is to go where orchestra is not present. And in the town of Wake Forest, there is no pre-K through eighth grade public school orchestra option. I know because I was the teacher and my program got cut.
Wow.
And that, that's another reason why, we started. So, we go everywhere. We have students that come from Durham just to be with us. So we are open to everyone who wants to be involved.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on our local talk program. I wish you nothing but the best, and we thank you for what you do for our youth. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Again, this is Trey Snide here on Next Door Radio, nextdoorradio.com for our local talk program. Until next time, God bless. You be the difference. Why somebody smiles today. We'll see you later.